One of my favorite changes in Battlefield 5 is the removal of suppression from affecting how your weapon performs. Ever since Battlefield 3, suppression has always affected your weapon while also distorting your vision. Suppression basically only rewards those who miss their shots, with suppression only actively being used against scouts at range, which only works a handful of times. I personally wasn't a fan that suppression affected your spread, as it directly hindered you from returning fire, but due to the prevalence of automatic weapons in both Battlefield 3 and 4, suppression wasn't that really much of a factor, as it is in Battlefield 1, where the overall amount of automatic weapons and lower fire rate made suppression a much bigger factor in firefights. I really started to hate suppression in Battlefield 1, especially for the medic class, which I think suffers the most from the suppression mechanic. Self-loading rifles were meant to be accurate, with follow-up shots being a necessity to take out a target. Adding in suppression makes the SLRs more difficult to use when they shouldn't be, not to mention that the turret meta, in addition to a perk in Battlefield 1 that increases your suppression effect, makes it almost impossible to return fire against an enemy that is using a bipoded LMG. Not to mention they're already firing at min spread with 250 rounds and non-existent recoil. Talk about annoying. But as much as I hate suppression personally, it has a place in Battlefield, as it gives the support class another purpose and also gives a direct nerf to snipers from picking you off at range. In games where the player count is very low, I think suppression is useless. But in a chaotic 64-player game like Battlefield, suppression is a good way to keep those at range, especially scouts, from ruining your day. I wouldn't mind if suppression affected bolt-action rifles only, either by adding sway or blurring out the scope as seen in Battlefield 1 with the depth of field option. That way suppressing those pesky hill humpers can still have some use on the battlefield. If not, I bet you can expect those scout mains rejoicing at the edge of the map. With suppression in Battlefield 5 being visual only, I think this is a great step in making the more accurate weapons like the SLRs more useful at doing their job. But this also gives a direct buff to snipers and removes yet another purpose of the support class. But I think the ability to suppress, at least in the same manner as previous games, has been transferred over to the ability of shooting through walls, which only LMGs can do. Overall, I think the suppression mechanic moving towards visual only is a great step in the right direction, but it needs to be watched to ensure that it doesn't give too much of a buff to areas that it shouldn't. Hopefully through the closed alpha and the open beta we can test these things out and see how the system will improve and change. If you're happy about the changes to suppression in Battlefield 5, let me know by leaving a comment down below. And as always, it's been BloodHound, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.